Hey guys, about to do Magic Origins draft number 7, I think it is, on the Nissa Magic channel. We're waiting on one more person to join the queue, and I'll be back with you when our pack opens. Alright, our first pack is opening. We got a Helm of the Gods, which is an eminently not first pickable card. This is an interesting pack. We have two pretty strong uncommons in Sky Snare Spider and War Oracle. In the common department, the best card's probably Lightning Javelin. Shambling Ghoul, Farika's Disciple are, of course, also very playable. And yeah, and so is Scrapskin Drake. But I think for me, it's between Sky Snare Spider or War Oracle. Sky Snare Spider's a legitimate bomb in this format, really hard to deal with when it gets down. Black has two spells that can actually deal with it. Blue has one and white has one, but no one else can really deal with the Sky Snare Spider, and that's not really very many cards that can handle it. War Oracle's good too, and he's lower on the curve, which is important in this format, but Sky Snare Spider is so strong, I think I'm just going to first pick it. I think I could see someone arguing for a War Oracle, and I think that would be a fine first pick as well, but I think I go with the Spider here. White is a stronger color, but it's also so heavily drafted right now that it's kind of hard to get a good white deck on every try because everyone knows white's the strongest color. But we'll go ahead and take the Sky Snare Spider. And here we have a Fiery Impulse and a Ravaging Blaze, both cards I really love. Also Sigiled Starfish, which is very good. Leaf Gilder, also very good. And then again we have a Disciple, who's fine. Eyeblight Assassin, who's fine. And some Grasp of the Hieromancer is fine too. But we're going to take the Fiery Impulse. Looks like we may go red-green. I could, take green and stay open, but Fiery Impulse is just such a good removal spell that, I would have first picked it over Sky Snare Spider if it was in our opening pack. So I'll certainly take it in a second pack with cards in it that I don't think are quite as good as Sky Snare Spider. Although Sigiled Starfish is close, but I'll definitely take Fiery Impulse here. Okay, Knight of the White Orchid is fine, but not something that makes me want to go into a different color. In our colors so far, Volcanic Rambler is not very exciting, so I'm definitely not taking that. Llanowar Empath, though, is pretty good, and Titanic Growth is also good. I think Anointer of Champions is probably one of the better cards in this pack. Knight of the White Orchid might be the best, but you really have to be committed to being very white if you want that, and I don't really want to commit to that yet. But I think I'm going to take the Llanowar Empath. I think it's a good card. It almost in most creature decks in this format, which most decks are, it's going to draw you a card a good chunk of the time because usually you have 16, 17 creatures, and it has some elf synergies too, which may or may not be relevant in later picks. But we will take the Empath here. Okay, we've got Fiery Conclusion, which is a good card. Another Aspiring Aeronaut, which you saw in the last pack, and is a perfectly playable card. A Visionary, Elvish Visionary, and a Read the Bones. Those are kind of the cards I'm looking at. More the Fiery Conclusion and the Elvish Visionary, since I've already gotten some cards in those colors. Subterranean Scout's fine, and so is Titan Strength, but I can pick them up later. I think here I just take the Visionary. 2 drops are important in this format, especially one that can just replace itself is pretty relevant. So we're going to take that. Red isn't looking insanely open, despite, our Fire Impulse was the second pick, but Anchor to the Aether and Stalwart Aven still being here means those two colors must be somewhat open to my right. So I'm probably going to take one of those. Those are the two best cards in this pack, I think. Scob Goliath is close, but I think I take the Aven. I do like Anchor to the Aether, but I think I'm going to go for the Aven. It's more likely to fit in with green-white than Anchor to the Aether. Like, green-white's much more of a thing than blue-green is. You do get Bounding Crassus, but green-white has a lot of synergies thanks to Renown and stuff. But we'll see. That could have just been a weird pack. I do like Fiery Impulse more than I like Stalwart Aven, so if we see some good red stuff here, I would lean more towards red. But we haven't seen a lot of great red. We've seen some fine red. But we've definitely seen more good green, and we've seen a lot of good white and a lot of good blue still floating around. So that's something to keep in mind. pack is taking quite a while to open for one reason or another. Someone's taking a while. Okay. Again, we're not really seeing. Um, we're not seeing either of our colors here, the ones we've already picked. But I'm going to take a Charging Griffin. It being here is also another good indicator that white's pretty open. We may just move clear over into green-white, and green may turn out not to be open enough either, which would be pretty bad news for us, given what we've done early in this draft. But here I think we take the Griffin. Clash of Wills is good, and Way to the Underworld is pretty good. Those are probably the other two cards really worth playing on a regular basis in this pack. Well, of course, Bloodcurse Knight too, but that's, you have to be in those colors. And the Bloodsucker sometimes makes my decks, but I cut it more often than I don't. Let's see. Yeah, things have been not looked super open in the colors we originally picked, but white and blue and black all look pretty open. The other colors, of course. I could take a Sylvan Messenger. I have 2 elves so far, but I don't think it's worth going that route at this point. Kind of tempted to take the Water Courser, have a blue playable in case that ends up, continuing to look pretty open. Totem Guide Harpbeast is good, but it's better in the black-white deck when you're going to be running like a good number of enchantments. I'm not sure I'll be running any, and I don't want to take it before I have them. So I think I am going to take the Water Courser, see where that leads me. Okay, well, we're seeing more blue playables. Maritime Guard is, a much better 2-drop than it looks like because it, can block so many things on turn 2. So I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, it looks like the 2 colors we picked early in red and green aren't especially open, but blue definitely is. So it looks like we're definitely moving into blue, and we'll take a Scrapskin Drake here. Blue-white is a nice archetype that I enjoy playing, and there's a decent black card here, which I'll take. So yeah, we've definitely gotten signals that blue's open, and maybe our other colors are not open enough. But green may be open enough. We did see a relatively late Lawnmower Empath, but Fiery Impulse probably isn't making our deck anymore, unfortunately. The rest could go really anyway. I may just take the Sidearm here. It's more likely I play it than those other 2 cards, even though they're both blue. So yeah, this is an example of when you sort of get signals that tell you should go a completely different way based on, our early picks were strong, Sky Snare, Spider, and Fiery Impulse, but what we've seen since then has indicated that those colors aren't especially open. Volcanic Rambler isn't a signal at all because he only makes red decks when you're really low on playables. So we could go blue-white or blue-green. We'll have to see what kind of signals we're getting late. Hopefully we don't have to play a Nivix Barrier. That does take away our only removal spell to take away our red, but it looks like that's the thing to do. Okay, Sword of the Animist is interesting as our rare. Images aren't loading. There they go. Okay. Well, Sword of the Animist is fine, and it's more than fine. I first picked it recently in a video, but I didn't have much else great in the pack, and it was like the first pick of the draft, so I was staying super open. This pack has Topin Freeblade in white, which is a really great card. It has Conclave Naturalist in green, which is another good card. Thopter Engineer, definitely an eminently first pickable card. I'm kind of leaning towards the Freeblade at this point. Maybe I should take the Naturalist, but green just didn't seem open at all late in that draft. White seemed more open when we saw Stalwart Avens and Charging Griffins going around like 7th and 8th pick. Red also didn't seem open, so taking a Thopter Engineer here doesn't make sense. And Shrouding Mist is also good, but I think I just take the Freeblade. I'm tempted by the Naturalists, but yeah, I'm going to take the Freeblade here. Okay. Here we have a very good green card in Rock Smallers. And not a whole lot else. We're in 3 colors right now, and this pack's pretty underwhelming. Honored Hierarch, if you play him on turn 1, he's an amazing card. Any other time you play him, he's pretty mediocre. I could take a Meteorite. I don't feel like I'm giving up a whole lot. I mean, Blazing Hellhound and Reclusive Artificer are good. Rock Smallers is too. So Rock Smallers is really what I'm giving up. If I pick up the Meteorite, I could try to make something with all 3 colors work, potentially. Same with Evolving Wilds. But I think I'm just going to take the Maulers here. I think that's the better pick most of the time. And green doesn't seem like it's being completely cut off the way some other colors do. Okay. Here, I'd probably take a Cleric of the Forward Order. Hallowed Moonlight is another pretty, not an especially good rare in this format. It's okay to side in, but we've seen lots of bad rares opened in these packs. Although the Sword of the Animist isn't a bad rare. It'll make a lot of decks. We've also got Elvish Visionary, and I am thinking about that. Maybe I should do that so I have more green playables, and maybe we end up cutting white. It's kind of a decision time, and the Visionary is really good, so I do think I'll take the Visionary over the Cleric. Okay, Undercity Troll still being here is a great sign that green's open, and it's a great 2-drop. One of the best in the format. I even think it's better than Topin Freeblade. And we could have had a Fairy Miscreant deck, though. I think this is the 3rd or 4th one we've seen. But we're going to take the Undercity Troll here for sure. Screeching Scob's a fine 2-drop, but it has nothing on this. The Seismic Elemental being here is a little surprising given how hard it was to get red in the first pack, but it may be more open coming from the other side, but I still don't think it's open enough to move into. Although now we see a Boggart Brute and a Dragon Fodder, which is pretty crazy. I think we take a Ring Warden Owl here. It's looking more and more like blue-green. The Boggart Brute's very good, of course. Ram Roller can be fine in the artifact deck. There's also a Yevva's Force Mage. But I think we'll have time to pick up other 3-drops like that. I like Ring Warden Owl a fair amount, although we have nothing but creatures yet. So maybe I moved more towards Yevva's Force Mage at this point to help force through stuff like Undercity Troll. Yeah, I think I will. We're bound to pick up spells. At least I hope we are. We don't want to be an all-creature deck, although it can happen in this format. We could take Zendikar's Royal. There's another Llanowar Empath and a Meteorite. Those are basically our choices here. I'm leaning towards the Empath. Zendikar's Royal can be good. But it can also, it's nice to make every land you draw turn into something late game. But I also like the Empath to help us draw into some of our high power cards. Now blue's really not looking that open. So the player immediately to our right may be blue and immediately to our left may be red. We'll just have to see where things go. I'm happy to take a Herald of the Pantheon. It's worth a few tickets and it's a good 2-drop. And its synergies may end up being relevant, although it seems unlikely. We could pick up like a Claustrophobia, I suppose. But yeah, we'll take the Herald. Okay, here we take Amprint Tactician. I think oftentimes getting 2-drops is important, and if we don't end up running right, we will lose one, but we still have one whole pack, and the Tactician's fine. I mean, blue doesn't look any more likely right now than green does. Green's clearly very open now. Things have changed, between packs, but I'll take the Tactician though. He's just better than the other things we have, but we could end up in the last pack. Green we're definitely in. There's no way we're getting out of that. We could end up going into almost any other color depending on what we get in the last pack. So that's something to keep in mind. We may end up running this Veteran Sidearm. I don't think I've ever ended up running one before, but I think it's okay. It's not amazing, but it does help. Titanic Growth is what we'll take here. It can end up being a removal spell a lot of the time, and it's the color we know we're in. Stratuswalk is a really great card when you pair it with like Rock Maulers and Sky Snare Spider, but if blue's open, we'll see them in the last pack, and we'll see other things that make us want to be blue. Right now, I'm perfectly happy taking a Titanic Growth here. I'm going to go ahead and sort by color at this point. And yeah, green, going well. Other 2 colors, kind of a mixed bag. Our 4 cards in white are definitely better than our 4 cards in blue, so I'd rather go that route, but it's hard to know. Okay. Now that this Meteorite is back with us, this Hellhound being here means that red is completely open, but we're not in either of those colors, it doesn't seem like. So I'm going to take the Meteorite. We don't have any removal at this point, and in worst case scenario, it can act as removal. And it may allow us to splash something, which may end up being necessary, depending on how our draws go. and it's a pretty mediocre removal spell for sure. But you know, if we get a big 7 drop like Gaia's, what is it? Gaia's Revenge in the last pack, something like that, then it'll make sense. Here, I think I'm just going to take the Hallowed Moonlight for the value. It's it's worth like half a ticket, I think, but I think it'll go up as it sees play in more sideboards, and I could use it in my own sideboards in Standard and Modern. So I'll take it. There's nothing else in that pack, and if we end up running white, it isn't actually a terrible sideboard card. So it's nice against certain things that generate Thopter tokens and things like that. It's at least making my opponent whiff on a Thopter and getting to draw a card is it's not amazing, but it's fine. It's the thing it's best against is Hanger Backwalker. I'll take a Nissa's Pilgrimage here. We could end up being more of a ramp deck depending on what we see. Chances are I won't run the Pilgrimage, but maybe we just go straight mono green. I don't know. It would be nice to see some Wild Instincts and things like that, but been some weird signals in this draft. The only clear one is that green has been very open. Last pack, it looked like blue was very open, but someone else must have picked up on that too and jumped into blue. Okay. Yeah, I'll take the Yoke Docs. I doubt I use him, but he's not an awful sideboard card if I end up in white. Although we have lots of better things to do. Although we can't do it on turn 1, we have lots of better 2-drops depending on where we go with our second color. I'm glad at least our first pick seems like it's going to work out and we'll get to play it. Another good sideboard card if we end up in white. Definitely, we just picked up 2 semi-playable at least white cards, and that may be enough to get me to decide on white since our white cards are so much better than the blue cards we have right now. So I think I'm just gonna do that for now. I'll Reclaim, which I'll never play, but it is in our color, which means green continues to be pretty open. When it's the last card in the pack, might mean something. It may mean nothing. The Tactician might not make it because of the double color, and I doubt that I'm. Ooh. Well, green was right, everybody. Opening up Nissa. Opening the Claustrophobia is, tempting for us, of course, but Nissa, first of all, is worth a large number of tickets. I'm going to check right now, actually. And second of all, she's just a great card. It's definitely who we want to be opening in our third pack when we know we're in green, but we don't know much else. She is worth about 13 tickets right now as of this recording. And it is hard giving up Wild Instincts and Claustrophobia, which are removal spells that we really need. But Nissa, I don't know. If I were drafting to win, I think I would still take Nissa. It would be a little closer. This Crassus would be tempting to make me want to go blue. If it comes back to me, I may end up there, and I'd love it if we could get something like Wild Instincts or Claustrophobia, because we just have no removal right now. But we gotta take Nissa. I don't know who wouldn't there. Okay. So there's an Anchor to the Aether here, which is good, and it's good to keep in mind blue. And I think it's the best card for us in this pack. I don't really want a Nissa's Pilgrimage right now, and I probably don't want a second one. Amperin Tactician's fine, but he's not amazing. I think we take the Anchor, and if we end up blue, we end up blue. And it's a good card to have. It's not exactly removal. It's temporary removal though, and it's also pretty brutal against an opponent when it's like late game and they need to top deck something, and I can just Anchor to the Aether one of their creatures that's just sort of stalling the board and give myself more time. So it's a good card. Okay, well we do have. Well, I'm gonna take the Claustrophobia. As much as Nissa's Revelation would be like a flavor win in our deck. I think we take the Claustrophobia and move back into blue. Blessed Spirits is good, but what we're really lacking in right now is removal. We have good creatures, even if we take out white, and we have other good ones, playable ones anyway in blue. But we really need removal if we want to be able to succeed here. I could take a Titanic Growth, and kind of use it that way, but Claustrophobia is very good. Nissa's Revelation can be big too. If we hit our Spider, we gain 6 life and draw 6 cards, which is pretty crazy. Pretty swingy, but getting to turn 7 is not a guarantee in this format, so it's not something I should count on. I think I got to take the Claustrophobia. Okay, another Llanowar Empath is attractive, but as desperate as we are for removal, And I think we now have to say goodbye to our white cards, at least probably. We do have a Meteorite that could open up a splash. And we want to bring back in Scrap Skin Drake, Water Courser, Maritime Guard, and Aspiring Aeronaut. If that Crassus comes back, I'll be really happy. And I think we'll take the Turn to Frog here, as much as we need removal. We have lots of creatures that, making them smash into our dudes. Making it trade with an Elvish Visionary isn't even bad, so I think I'm fine with that. And we do have the Claustrophobia Herald of the Pantheon synergy now, so that's something. I just noticed that. So here we see a good white card, but we also see playable blue cards in Ringward Owl and Water Courser. I think I'm pretty content with our 2 and 3 drops where they sit now. It'd be nice to pick up some more, but actually I'd kind of like a little bit more top curve, especially if I'm probably not running Meteorite. So I think I run Ringward Owl. We do have some more things to activate it now, at least. And taking it over Water Courser is good, I think. The Knight would be nice. It would allow us to play some better creatures, but the Claustrophobia is making me want to stay in blue. And now I'm very happy I picked blue, although this would have clinched it for me. We get a Whirler Rogue, was a huge bomb. So clearly blue is very open to our right, but wasn't open at all to our left. Someone to our directly to our left is missing out on this Whirler Rogue and going to get like a Maritime Guard, and that's fine with me because they were shafting us a lot in the last pack. So we'll take the Whirler Rogue, and I'll take a Disperse here. It's another pseudo removal, a way to interact early with my opponent's cards. And it's also really good against all the auras people like to play in this format. So Disperse, come on down, and there's another Disperse. If I'd known there was another Disperse, I probably would have taken the creature I saw in the last pack. I just spaced on what it was, but it was a relatively playable one. Here I think I take Hitchclaw Recluse. He's a playable creature. We've already got other sort of mediocre pseudo removal, and I don't think getting another Disperse is huge right here, although it's nice to side in against an opponent with a lot of auras and combat tricks. But the Hitchclaw Recluse is just a good creature to, it stops Thopters and various other problem flyers. All right, that Crassus did make it back, so we made the right choice. This has been a draft that went kind of all over the place, but it looks like blue-green is definitely our home now. I think Bone to Ash is a good sideboard card to bring in against opponents with bombs, so I think I'll take it. And a Stratus Walk's actually not bad. We have a little bit of synergy with our Herald, and it's great to put on these monsters. So even Bounding Crassus is pretty intimidating with it. So I think I take Stratus Walk. It might get cut, it might not. But man, if we'd taken every Fairy Miscreant we saw, things would have gone pretty well for us. I think we saw 6 or 7 in the end. You can tell me in the comments how many there were. There were definitely a lot. I think Macabre Waltz is more playable, so let's take it away from someone. And Dreadwaters. So I'm pretty happy with our deck, the way it turned out after the confusing signals we were getting early. We've got some really powerful cards between Nissa, Bounding Crassus, Whirler Rogue, and Sky Snare Spider. So we have some pretty big bombs. We're not, filled to the brim with removal, which I would like, which still kind of makes Meteorite tempting. I don't think we play Veteran Sidearm in this thing anymore. We did end up with a little bit, all of it's blue. That's kind of what made us decide to go blue and not white in the end. And we have 1 Titanic Growth. And I'm trying to decide if I think I only want 17 lands in this thing. I mean, we mostly have a low curve. We do have 1 6-drop and 2 5-drops, but I think we just need to cut one more card. For me, it might be the Maritime Guard. Our other 2-drops are all considerably better than than it, and 4 is a good number of 2-drops. 5 is better, obviously, but 4 is good. Yeva's Force Mage is also an option. I mean, I like imagining going Yeva's Force Mage into Undercity Troll. I mean, Undercity Troll into Yeva's Force Mage, but the Undercity Troll can get things going on its own. But I could also consider Hitchclaw Recluse, and I am. It's definitely going to get sided in, but I think that is what I'm going to cut. Our deck's mostly very aggressive, and he's not especially, but he's nice to side in against opponents with um, combine groups is what I want to do. And then we want to sort by color. Against opponents who have lots of Thopters or Aven Stalwart. Stalwart Aven, that's what it is, and stuff like that. He's good to side in, but other than that, I don't really think I want him. We actually ended up half and half, even though we weren't sure. We did pick up some blue playables early that ended up making it in our deck, and I'm glad we did that. We also ended up with the Crassus wheeling, so that's great. We have way more double blue, which isn't exactly ideal because most of our 2-drop creatures, anyway, are green. But so I think we still just run half and half. That may be what it wants to do anyway. Well, you can't run half and half with these numbers. Let me look at this again. Yeah. I mean, these creatures are all creatures we want to play on turn 2, except for Titanic Growth. We can kind of put that here. Disperse can be played whenever, so it doesn't have to be cast that early. Maritime Guard we do want to play in turn 2. Stratus Guards whenever, and Turn to Frogs whenever. Same with Claustrophobia. We do want to play these on turn 3 pretty consistently. So I think I flip it from the way they have it. I could run Meteorite to help me fix, but I don't think I want that. I think I make it 9-8 just because we want to be doing more with our green in the early game, most likely anyway, than we do with blue. We really want green on turn 2. We don't, and we really want blue for turn 3 to be fair, but I think it's important to focus on turn 2 here. And so that is our deck. Turned out pretty strong. It did end up, as I've said numerous times, without as much removal as I would like. But taking Nissa over 2 removal spells was definitely the route we wanted to take. And we ended up with a huge number of creatures, and they're all pretty good, so I'm pretty happy about that. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you for round 1. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.